Today we're talking about how cells are grown in labs in order to understand how scientists study and treat cellular diseases. And our success criteria is being able to describe the importance of stem cells. So, a cell culture is one of the fields we use in cancer research. And what we do is, in a cell culture, we can isolate cells and then place them in a test tube or a petri dish that's full of nutrients that the cell needs to grow. If this goes on for an extended period of time, the cells in those cultures are referred to as a cell line. A cell line just means like it's like a bloodline. These cells are all descended from the same original cell. Now, normal cells can only live outside of the body for a limited period of time. However, cancer cells are very interesting in that they can grow indefinitely. As long as you provide them with enough nutrients, the cells won't die. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of potential application there. And scientists are very interested in understanding this and understanding if there's a way that we can change that from being part of a disease to be potentially part of a life-saving technology. Now, some cell lines, though, aren't just made of cancer cells. You can also make a cell line out of stem cells. And what a stem cell is a very important type of cell. The scientific term for it is pluripotent. Pluri means plurality, many, plural, and potent basically means potential. So it has many potentials, and stem cells have the potential to become any type of cell within the body. And that's super important because most cells can only become the same type of cell. You can only get stomach cells from other stomach cells. You can only get skin from other skin. But stem cells have the ability to differentiate and become different types of cells, which makes them invaluable to the body's development. And this is a natural part of our development too. When we are embryos, we need to come from everything needs to come from the same starting cell. So that cell has to be pluripotent. In contrast to that, for example, nerve cells can't just not become other types of cells, they can't divide at all. So a nerve cell within your brain or within your extremities, those cells have to last you your entire lifetime. If they become damaged, it's permanent because they can't actually divide and replace themselves because of the way that connections are built between nerve cells. But researchers are looking to see if there's a way they could use stem cells to either heal the damaged cells or even replace the damaged cells, as well as being able to do things like grow organs from the stem cells so that we can actually use fresh organs for donor transplants instead of having to try and take them from dying or living organ donors, which may have restrictions on how quickly the organ can get to the person needing surgery. Of course, stem cells are also controversial in some circles because the majority of stem cells come from the 21 stem cell lines, which are cell lines that were derived from embryonic tissue because that is the single best and easiest source of stem cells taken from a 1 week old developing embryo. And these stem cells can be important because there's many ways in which cells can change and become sick. Oftentimes, but not always, based off of their DNA. And if this is a genetic disease, it's very hard to correct because it's not that there's an infection, it's about something within the functionality of the cell itself is wrong. So what we can see on the left-hand side of the image is Alzheimer's disease, where you have these plaques that are starting to grow between nerve cells, neurons, as well as fibers growing within the cells that start to interfere with their regular functions. On the right-hand side, we have a very famous disease of the blood known as sickle cell anemia, where one of the proteins within the red blood cells is shortened, and that actually changes the shape from that classic concave disc into a crescent moon shape. And that might not seem like it's a big deal, but those crescent moon shapes can get stuck and jammed up against each other very easily. So the blood clots much more quickly and easily, and it can be extremely dangerous. Both of these illnesses are difficult to treat because they're genetic in origin. But if you could do a transplant with stem cells to make it so that those cells are replaced with healthier cells, that potentially could be a life-saving technology.